Carissa, stop that! Carissa! You're hurting me!
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for those horror movie death scenes that felt inventive and outside of the box. Number 30, Chain Reaction, Final Destination 2.
Hey, I think we better pull over and check the car because
Kimberly, the car is gonna be fine. Your dad's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
The Final Destination franchise frequently centers on one large-scale set piece of death from which the main characters initially escape. This second entry is no different. Although this isn't the only bit of vehicular carnage that afflicts this cast. Kat Jennings shakes hands with death after a car accident leaves her pinned to her seat.
Oh, God, Jethro! Jesus Christ! I can always use my legs when I'm done!
It initially seems as if Jennings is going to survive the crash, but the airbag in her steering wheel is accidentally deployed. The resulting impact pushes Jennings' head into a PVC pipe that's lodged within her car's headrest.
Could you be a little quieter with that thing, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll just put it on quiet mode.
That would be good.
Number 29, The Lost Tape, Event Horizon.
It's in your head. It's just in your head.
This movie from director Paul W.S. Anderson possesses a neat and nasty little twist that presents itself around the halfway mark. The crew of the rescue ship Lewis and Clark have been tasked with finding out what happened to the missing crew of the Event Horizon. They find out the answer within the ship's log database, a disturbing and violent video of the previous crew's grisly demise. The footage is grainy and distorted, like a futuristic snuff film. It feels by design as well, since rumors have long swirled around how there's allegedly an even more extreme cut of Event Horizon out there that extends the sequence even longer.
Get the files. Vacate. I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
You just get your gear and get back on the Lewis and Clark, Doctor, or you'll find yourself walking home.
I am home.
Number 28, Truck Radiator Fan, Final Destination 3. Fans have continually expected the Final Destination franchise to up the ante. We're speaking specifically of ingenuity and how entries like Final Destination 3 continually think of new ways to, well, kill their characters. We're guessing that Radiator Fan wasn't on the audience's bingo cards when this film debuted in 2006. Still, that is exactly what happened to Frankie Cheeks when the entire engine was pushed out of a truck parked behind him. The resulting impact caused the fan to slice Frankie open, physics and logic be damned, effectively cutting him out of the movie. Number 27, Unique Torture Kill, Bone Tomahawk.
Nick, wake up!
Don't do this! Don't do this, please!
Nick! Wake up!
The filmography of S. Craig Zahler is one that frequently incorporates some grossly realistic and visceral scenes of violence. It was Bone Tomahawk that initially set that bar, combining horror and Western tropes in a stunningly effective manner. Deputy Nick perhaps receives one of the most shocking kills in the entire film.
That man deserved to die.
All right.
You sent my possessions back to Michigan. Most of that stuff belonged to my brothers.
I'll send it.
He's scalped and brutally bisected by a group of cannibalistic troglodytes who consume him as a snack before turning their attention to other captive prisoners. It's a scene that largely forgoes ineffectual CGI in favor of effects that remain both practical and convincing. Number 26, Puppet Master, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Ask anybody who was there back in the 80s when the slasher boom was in full swing. Inventive kills were frequent water cooler and schoolyard talk, especially when they were on the level of this one from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. The Elm Street parents responsible for the death of Freddy Krueger have seen their kids being stalked and killed by the Dream Demon in the present day. Philip Anderson was one of those kids, a sleepwalker whose veins and tendons are utilized by Freddy as marionette strings. The sight of Anderson being forced to jump off a building to his death remains one of the most iconic set pieces of late 80s franchise horror. Number 25. Garage door, Scream.
Hit him.
We, as horror fans, don't always pay close attention to the set dressing or scenery whenever a character is tussling with a slasher villain. Those who do, however, could very well have predicted what happened to poor Tatum Riley. Deputy Sheriff Dewey's sister initially holds her own against Ghostface when she's caught in the garage, away from the noise of a house party. Her attempt to escape via the garage door's cat flap is unsuccessful, and Tatum becomes stuck, effectively at the mercy of Ghostface. What happens next is a slow and honestly troubling death, as Tatum begs for her life, but is ultimately crushed by the door. Number 24. Force Field, The Cabin in the Woods.
We can't go back. There's no way across.
What are we gonna do, jump?
Dude.
This film, from the creative team of Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, reveled in referencing and satirizing some of horror cinema's most beloved creative tropes. Chris Hemsworth's Kurt Vaughn is initially set up as some kind of hero, complete with strength, smarts, and determination. His efforts to escape and seek help are thwarted, however, by a very unexpected source: an invisible force field. What's particularly effective here is how the score underlines what's effectively supposed to be an important moment, only for it to be undercut as Kurt slams into the wall. The creative curtain is then pulled back, and the characters realize that nothing is exactly what it seems.
Hey, hit something. There's nothing. What did he hit?
Puppeteers. Marty was right.
Number 23. Lawn Mowing Zombies, Dead Alive. Adaptability is important when it comes to surviving a horror movie. You just gotta be willing to take whatever you can get and turn it into a weapon. Lionel Cosgrove does just that when he takes an ordinary garden lawnmower into his hands during the climax of 1992's Braindead. The film, directed by Peter Jackson and also known as Dead Alive, loves its black humor, playing it to the hilt during this scene.
Party's over.
Lionel is practically wading through the red stuff as he mows his way through infected zombies in his home. It's creative overkill to the nth degree, powered by Jackson's crazed, frenetic cinematography and a committed cast that goes for it during this final sprint to the end. Number 22. Skylight, Suspiria. The cinema of Italy's Dario Argento was one that frequently combined the grotesque with the beautiful. His murder set pieces were artfully staged, while also containing some of the most wince-inducing moments of graphic violence. The first victim of Argento's 1977 masterpiece Suspiria is Pat Hingle, a young dance student who's mercilessly attacked by an unseen knife-wielding assailant. The brutality of her knife wounds, hanging, and subsequent explosion through an apartment skylight are undercut by how Argento films the scene. It's bold and colorful, with flourishes of sound and framing that almost make the audience feel like accessories to the carnage. Number 21. Eye Trouble, Zombie 2. It's one of the most well-known and frequently referenced scenes from the world of Italian horror. The infamous eye-gouging scene from Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters. Actress Olga Karlatos truly has a bad go of it, as her battle against a zombie home invasion goes pear-shaped. Actually, make that splinter-shaped, since Karlatos' character has her face pulled into one, all in gloriously anguished slow motion, of course. Fulci's reputation as Italy's godfather of gore feels well-earned here, as Zombie Flesh Eaters goes for broke with regards to this unflinching look at some truly gross eye damage. Number 20. Liquid Nitrogen, Jason X. Jason Voorhees has creatively utilized many weapons to dispose of his victims, but the most out there has gotta be liquid nitrogen. Like we said, he's very creative. Jason gets the drop on Adrian in the futuristic spaceship and sticks her head in a sink filled with the aforementioned coolant. Her face instantly freezes past that of a snowman, but just to make sure that Adrian has been properly disposed of, Jason tests her new look against the countertop. Suffice it to say, the countertop wins. Say what you will about the goofy Jason X, but it contains a lot of fun kills. Number 19, Going for a Ride, Gremlins. Poor Mrs. Deagle, the thing meant to make her life easier ended up taking it away. Such is the beauty of irony. After getting scared by some caroling gremlins, a panicking and out-of-breath Mrs. Deagle takes a seat in her chairlift.
Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
However, the device has been tampered with by another gremlin, and Mrs. Deagle goes for the ride of her soon-to-be-over life. The lift rapidly zips up the stairs before launching her out of the second-story window. It's a horrible way to go, but that shot of Mrs. Deagle's body flying through the air will never not be funny. Number 18, Staircase Kill, High Tension. This French slasher earned a lot of controversy for its over-the-top violence, among other things, and that is on full display throughout the home invasion sequence. Alex's father Daniel answers the ringing door in the dead of night, only to be met with a blow to the head.
Mais c'est pourquoi?
Daniel is left incapacitated, and the intruder is thus easily able to squeeze his head between the uprights of the staircase banister. It's then that the intruder grabs a nearby dresser and gets to redecorating, starting with Daniel's head. The death is quick, but it's also graphic and disturbing. Props for originality, though.
Daniel? Daniel? Daniel?
Number 17, Defibrillator, The Thing. For the most part, the shape-shifting monster of this classic horror film lies in wait and only reveals itself when absolutely necessary. But when it does, you know all hell is about to break loose. In this classic scene, Copper is attempting to revive Norris, who has secretly been assimilated by the Thing.
Windows, wheel that defibrillator over here. Put some grease on those panels.
Copper finds this out firsthand, no pun intended, when Norris's entire chest opens up, revealing sharp teeth and bites his arms clean off. It's so shocking that we can't actually show it all here. Yet one still has to admire the ingenuity of director John Carpenter and his brilliant effects artists. In what other movie are you going to get this crazy kind of action? Number 16, The Wicker Man, The Wicker Man. Few movies end on a bigger downer than Robin Hardy's The Wicker Man. In this classic British film, a police sergeant named Neil Howie travels to a remote island to rescue a supposedly kidnapped girl from a group of pagans.
I am here to investigate the disappearance of a young girl. As doubtless the harbour master has already told you by now. There's the girl. Her name is Rowan Morrison.
However, it's all just a ruse to kidnap Howie himself, and he is then sacrificed to the islanders' pagan gods for a bountiful harvest. And they do so in the most horrifying way possible, by burning him alive inside a massive wicker man. It's one of the most haunting images in horror history, and it leaves viewers feeling incredibly unsettled. We wonder if it worked. Number 15, Spider Eggs, The Mist. Disgusting is a good word to describe this death. And if you don't like spiders, we're sorry. One scene in Frank Darabont's classic sees a small group of survivors in the wake of interdimensional creatures being released upon the town, searching a pharmacy for supplies. What they find instead are bodies strung up by what appear to be spider webs.
It's awful. It's awful.
One, however, is alive, with legions all over his chest and face. Just when it seems like the situation cannot get any worse, the lesions are revealed to be egg sacs and begin releasing countless spider-like creatures.
Holy God.
We're calling it. Being eaten alive from the inside by spiders is not a good way to go. Number 14. Father Knows Best, City of the Living Dead. Director Lucio Fulci populated his films with some all-time kills, with this one arguably being his masterpiece. A garage owner named Mr. Ross finds the shady Bob sitting with his teenage daughter in a car and flies into a rage, assuming the worst.
What are you doing? You get in the house, get!
I can explain everything.
After backhanding him, Ross throws Bob onto a table and brings his head closer and closer to a spinning drill. The drill then makes contact near Bob's ear and ends his life in particularly grisly fashion. We can understand wanting to be a protective parent, but this has to be overkill, wouldn't you say? Number 13. Bad Mattress, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Any movie involving nonsensical dream magic is bound to have a few creative kills. And while the first movie in the A Nightmare on Elm Street series is relatively tame in comparison to its outlandish sequels, it contains what is arguably the most iconic kill of the franchise.
Oh, and meanwhile, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
A young Johnny Depp plays Glenn, who is unfortunate enough to fall asleep while watching TV. This allows the dream-hopping Freddy to grab him through the mattress and pull him down. We don't see what exactly happens to him next, but the iconic gushing blood that follows fuels our imaginations to nightmarish effect. Number 12. Tanning Bed, Final Destination 3. No other horror franchise had us tiptoeing around the house quite like Final Destination. While a lot of kills in the franchise happen quickly, this one takes its sweet, agonizing time. In honor of their fallen classmates, weirdly enough, two teenagers decide to get some color and go for a tan.
I just want to make sure that we look our best. Yeah. You know, for all those kids that died that night, we'll never get a graduation. You know what? You're totally right. Sorry.
However, death is out to get them and concocts a series of events to trap them inside their tanning beds. The beds then increase in power to the point that they burn the girls alive. This death scene finds a way to combine multiple fears like pyrophobia and claustrophobia, as it makes for some seriously harrowing viewing. Number 11. Death by Sleeping Bag, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. The Friday the 13th series is filled with creative kills, including the aforementioned liquid nitrogen death. But sometimes the simplest scenes prove the most memorable. Jason's most appropriate kill comes in The New Blood, the 7th entry in the series. After disposing of her boyfriend Dan, Jason kidnaps Judy from their tent. He scoops her up in her yellow sleeping bag, drags her to a nearby tree, and practices his baseball swing with a human bat. As memorable and as brutal as this scene is, it was actually cut from 6 swings to 1 to avoid an X rating. Darn censorship ruining creativity. Number 10. The Glass Pane, The Omen. Mainstream horror films of the 1970s are quite tame by today's standards, at least in terms of on-screen violence, which only makes Keith's death that much more shocking. While retrieving some magic daggers in a construction site, Keith suffers a workplace accident via an out-of-control truck and a sliding pane of glass. While it looks kinda goofy today, it's also a brilliant bit of filmmaking, mixing nasty visuals with the surprise death of a major character to create one of horror's most memorable sequences. Though, come to think of it, it's kinda like a prototypical Final Destination death, don't you think? Number 9. Lawnmower Surprise, Sinister. Unique filmmaking can often prove scarier than depicted violence, and that is certainly the case with Sinister. After discovering a slew of grisly home videos in his attic, Ellison watches one labeled Lawn Work. On it, someone's head gets run over by a push lawnmower. It's the movie's scariest sequence, despite containing no blood or actual on-screen violence. Rather, the eerie use of lighting, the unsettling sound design, and the sharp cut before the violence occurs all work in tandem to create a perturbing atmosphere. It's highly effective, and one of those cases in which imagination proves far scarier than depicted reality. Number 8. Death by Basketball, Deadly Friend. One of Wes Craven's better-known movies, Deadly Friend is not. In any case, it's certainly not up there with the likes of Scream and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's probably because of ridiculous sequences like this. As it turns out, a basketball can be used to kill someone. Yeah, a basketball.
Damn shids.
Not only that, but they have the power to turn someone's head into mush with a simple throw. The scene has all the goofy cheesiness of a cheap B-movie, but there's no denying Craven's imagination. Only the most ridiculous horror movies could turn a basketball into a deadly weapon. Number 7. Eaten by Boars, Hannibal. This sequel to The Silence of the Lambs sees Gary Oldman playing Mason Verger, a victim of Hannibal Lecter's, hell-bent on getting revenge for his disfigurement.
Dinner at 8.
Verger plans on feeding Lecter to a herd of wild boars, but he becomes their dinner instead when Lecter convinces Verger's mistreated physician Cordell to turn on his boss. The boars eat the defenseless Verger alive, and viewers are left thoroughly put off by the whole ordeal. For a series invested in the psychology of human beings, the most grotesque death strangely comes at the hands or mouths of some primal animals. Funny how that works out. Number 6. Death by Leeches, Puppet Master. While released directly to video, Puppet Master nevertheless proved popular and launched a franchise. In the first film, a psychic named Frank is sensually tied up and blindfolded by fellow psychic Carissa. However, Carissa is killed by one of the puppets, and another puppet named Leech Woman takes over. Leech Woman gets her name because, well, she regurgitates live leeches, and does so all over Frank, who thinks it's Carissa being kinky. He discovers the truth far too late, and his literal lifeblood is drained by the leeches. This entire sequence is like a fever dream filled with horrifying and otherworldly images. And we must commend the filmmakers for their ingenuity. Number 5. Amanda Diggs, Saw. To be honest, we could put any kill from Saw on here. Such is the grotesquely imaginative power of the franchise. But nothing beats the original, and in the case of the original, no trap was worse than Amanda's. Amanda Young is a drug addict whom Jigsaw captures and attaches her jaw to the infamous reverse bear trap.
Bear trap. Here, I'll show you.
She's then forced to find the key within the stomach of a sedated man. Needless to say, Amanda proceeds to dig her way to freedom and the man into an early grave.
Wes, what happened after you took it off?
Unlike future Saw movies, viewers don't see much of the violence itself, but what we do get is incredibly disturbing. Number 4. Head Explosion, Scanners. David Cronenberg's Scanners isn't super well known outside horror communities.
There is one other thing. No one is to leave this room once the demonstration has begun.
It's one of those cases in which one specific scene is more famous than the entire movie, and that scene is a horrifying head explosion by way of telepathy. The practicality of it is fantastic, but also so fantastically revolting that we have opted to shield you from the entirety of it for now. It is interesting to know that the effect was achieved by shooting a dummy head with a shotgun, and the results are every bit as messy and propulsive as one would expect. It is an iconic sequence, and has lived on in the form of GIFs and memes, which is what every director aspires to, right? Number 3. Down the Drain, The Final Destination. You gotta feel for Hunt. All he wanted was to lay by the pool and catch some rays. While relaxing at a country club, a series of events forces him underwater to retrieve his lucky coin. Unfortunately, the pool's drainage system had been accidentally activated, and the pressure sucks him in and traps him at the bottom. Drowning is scary enough, but then things get much, much worse, as poor Hunt is turned inside out by the powerful suction. Blunt's death hits that Final Destination sweet spot between outlandishly creative and disturbingly plausible. And it's made even more memorable thanks to the vile 3D effects. Number 2. Runaway Cable, Ghost Ship. This movie takes the idea of ghost ships literally, and the inciting incident makes for a highly memorable opening sequence. It takes place in the early 60s aboard the Antonia Graza and sees a large group of passengers dancing to a lounge singer's performance. Non mi importa delle stelle. A mysterious person then tampers with a thin wire cord and sends it flying across the deck. The cord slices through everyone like butter and leaves behind a repellent mess that scars a poor little girl who was too short to be hit. It is beyond eerie, especially the way everyone stands still immediately after, but before they, Despite the fact that this is an otherwise mediocre movie, this is undeniably a great scene. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Chestburster, Alien. The first Alien is an undeniable horror classic, and it contains a legendary death scene. Kane's entire downfall is just one long nightmare, and it speaks to the horrific imaginations of Ridley Scott and his filmmakers. Kane is first attacked by a facehugger that wraps its tail around his neck and sticks its proboscis down his throat. This, in turn, impregnates him, and the little baby xenomorph subsequently eats itself free through Kane's chest. We couldn't even imagine how that felt. It was tough enough just watching it, and it shouldn't be surprising that it has a reputation as the most famous death scene in the history of horror cinema. What, in your opinion, makes for a classic horror movie death? Let us know in the comments. Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.